Well, it is July 2nd, and I wanted to say good morning to everyone. I want to say good morning to my church, Celebrate Life, and I want to say good morning to any students that might be watching this over the summer. I'm thinking about all of you guys. I am here in Colorado meeting and hanging out with my grandson. It's been fantastic. But this morning, so we have been talking at church, we've been talking about the 10 Commandments. And we've gone through them every week. One, only one God. Two, too many gods, no idols. So this is who we worship and this is how we worship. Three, watch your words. Do not misuse the name of the Lord. Four, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Five, I promise to honor my father and mother. Six, do not murder. Seven, do not commit adultery. Walk down the aisle. Eight, do not steal or you go to jail. 9, do not bear false witness. And we talked about that last week about lying. And today, what I want to talk about is number 10, coveting. And what's interesting is the passage goes like this. It's Exodus chapter 20, verse 17. It says, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or his male or female servant, his ox or donkey or anything that belongs to your neighbor. And so what's interesting is a lot of the other commandments were external, right? Do not, it's actions based. They're verbs. It's do not murder, do not steal, do not commit adultery, honor your father and mother. This one is do not covet. All of those, a lot of those other ones were external. This is strictly internal. My desiring something that's not mine. The root of this, it's coveting is relating to the lack of contentment with what God has given us. It means literally to fix our desire upon. Now, this same word is actually used in a positive light in Psalm chapter 19. In Psalm 19, this is what it says. It says, verse 9, the fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The decrees of the Lord are firm, and all of them are righteous. They are more, and here's the word, they are more precious than gold, than much pure gold. And that word for precious, they are more desirable than gold. They're more precious. And so that's one of the times it's used in a positive light. But what we really see is we really see a whole bunch of examples of people wanting something that is not theirs, that they shouldn't, and it gets them into trouble. You have in the Garden of Eden, right? You have Eve looking, wanting. You have Achan, when they go into the promised land, it causes the whole nation to suffer. That's in Joshua chapter 7. You have Judas's greed contributes to his betrayal of the Savior. And you have, again, in the Old Testament, you have Ahab covets his neighbor's vineyard. So there's all these examples. That's in 1 Kings 21. There's all these different examples where somebody covets something and wants something, and it doesn't do them any good later on. It ends poorly for them. And so as you think about coveting and wanting something that's not mine, that's somebody else's, I really want that, I fix it, I have this desire. It's an, and listen to this quote, it's an inordinate, ungoverned, selfish desire for something. Think about that. An inordinate, ungoverned, selfish desire for something. So as I thought about that, I thought about, well, okay, so how do we not covet? And I thought about it and I prayed about it, and in studying and everything, I looked at 3 different antidotes, 3 different ways to fight coveting, fight this thing in our heart. And the first one is faith. Hebrews 11:6 says, and without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. So, is he really gonna reward me? I need to have faith, and I got to trust that he's going to reward me. He's going to take care of me. Matthew 6:24 says this, no one can serve 2 masters. He will either hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon, or money. You got to pick one. And so when you think about faith, it's the question I would say is what am I trusting in? So an antidote to coveting is faith. It's putting our trust in God. When Hurricane Harvey was hitting, and I mean, it just kept raining and raining and raining. And I remember Angel and we got our rain boots on. And then one of the days we just went walking down through our neighborhood. And the way our neighborhood was set up is our street was like this. And then you had these long streets. And our street, everything was flooded. But our street, the houses on our street for the most part weren't flooded. But the ones that were going straight like this, those were like rivers. And so as we walked around and walked along these yards, and I mean, we're in their yard and it's 6 inches of water in their yard. And it's just keeping going up. And we're looking at neighbors who their houses, I mean, water's going in them. They're being flooded. And I remember Angel saying, like, well, what are we going to do? Like, if the water keeps rising, and probably a lot of you did this, I was in my yard, I was putting a stick in my yard. And as the water level would move up, then I would move the stick so I could know how fast it's rising. And it got within about 6 feet of our front door. And literally it was about 7-8 inches from it would have started coming into our house. And I remember we're walking and Angel says, well, what are we going to do? And I said, there's nothing we're going to do. And it was just that the reality that there's nothing we're going to do that's going to stop. If this water continues to rise like this, there is nothing we're going to. And so I was just looking at other neighbors that were taking their stuff out by canoes and stuff like that. And I was thinking, if it floods us, it floods us. And realizing, okay, we just got to trust God that, I mean, if it does, he's going to help us through it. And so faith is one thing. It's that, you know what? I've got to really trust in God and nothing else. I can't trust in sandbags for my house. I can't trust in my money. I can't trust. And so faith is one thing. The second thing is contentment. Contentment. Listen to this. 1 Timothy 6:6 says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. I mean, think about that. Godliness with contentment is great gain. Then verse 9, those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap. So contentment. So the first thing, if it's faith, and the question is, what am I trusting in? The second thing is contentment. And the question, I have kind of two questions, is whatever it is you're wanting, ask yourself, am I not blessed enough? I mean, seriously, like, I want this, I want that. And you're really focusing on that a lot. The question is, am I not blessed enough? Has God already not given me enough? Why do I need that? And then another question is, will that really plug the hole? Will that really make me happy? When we were coming on this trip, on the way out of town, we hit McDonald's. It was morning. We were going to get a McDonald's breakfast for our trip to Colorado. And we stopped there and Angel runs in. I'm getting gas and she runs in to get the food. And I come in to join her. And we always have on trips, we always have our own big insulated cups that we got from Buc-ee's or whatever. And because they don't sweat and it keeps the ice longer, it keeps your drinks colder. And so she goes into McDonald's and she buys the meals and we have the drinks. And we, instead of getting cups though, she's like, no, we're going to put it in our own cup. So we go up trying to get out of town, right? And we go to get our Coke and I taste it and it's flat. It's disgusting. And I'm like, it's not good, Angel. And I'm like, taste it. Maybe I'm wrong. Of course, Angel's like, I'm not tasting it. So we talked to this lady. There's a McDonald's worker there. We're like, hey, like the Coke's flat. She's like, oh, okay. She goes over there. Well, you can see she's having a long talk with her manager. And the manager comes back and the manager is like, you need to go and pay for drinks. And my wife, Angel's like, we did pay for drinks. We're just putting in these cups. Oh, okay. So then the manager goes back to fix the problem. And we're waiting there and we're waiting there. And I mean, we just come to that realization. Angel points out, she's like, that lady, she wasn't trying to help us. She was trying to narc us out, like snitch on us, like we're stealing Cokes from McDonald's. And it takes forever, right? And it's just, we're just waiting and waiting. And finally the lady comes back, and I don't remember what she does, but finally it works. We get in the car. As we're getting in the car, I mean, we've wasted, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes just sitting there. And one of the things we've said on trips is we say, well, you know, some delay happens, and we look at each other and we say, well, maybe God was trying to protect us from something, you know? Maybe God was trying to protect us from something. In other words, our mindset switches, because we have been on trips where we've been delayed and then we're driving down the road and we see some bad accident later on and we're like, we could have been there. I mean, if we'd have left 5 minutes earlier, 10 minutes earlier, that could have been us. We could have been in that. And so on trips, it's real easy for us to switch that mindset and be like, hey, we got delayed, but that's okay. And I wonder if we can make that switch in the rest of our life with, well, I don't have this, or I don't have that, or I really want that. Well, maybe it'd be bad if I got that. So the first one, again, to fight coveting is faith. And the question is, what am I trusting in? The second one is contentment. And the question is, am I not blessed enough? And also it's, will that really plug the hole and make me happy? And the last one, the third one, is generosity. So faith, contentment, I'm going to trust in him. I'm going to be content with what I have. And then finally, generosity. Listen to this. 1 Timothy 6:18 says, command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. In this way, they will lay up treasures for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, so that they may take hold of the life of the life that is truly life. Sorry about that. So listen to that. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. So how do I get rid of coveting? Well, who am I trusting in? Put my faith in Christ. I need to have faith. I need to be content with what I have. Is that really going to fill the hole? Am I not blessed enough? And finally, I need to switch gears and be generous. Just start focusing on, what can I do? Some questions are, how can I give? And who can I give to? These are two great questions. How can I give and who can I give to? I remember when I was in Broken Arrow, the way it's set up in that whole city, you have one high school, and it's just 11th and 12th. And before that, you have intermediate high schools. And that's 9th and 10th. You had two of those. And I went to South over there at Broken Arrow. And every day after school, my 9th grade year, even my 10th grade year, I would walk home from school, but I wouldn't walk home because my grandmother and grandfather's house was closer. So I would walk from South over to their house. And sometimes I'm walking past these stores, and there was this store. It was Bell's. I don't know why it's called Bell's. It's like Bealls. But they said, oh, it's Bell's. It looks like Beals to me. Hooked on Phonics did not work for me. But anyway. But I remember sometimes I would just go in there and look around because I'm bored, and I'd just hang out at my grandparents' house waiting to get picked up to go home. And I remember walking over to the jewelry counter, and they had all of these earrings and necklaces. And I remember one day thinking, I should get my mom. I should get my mom something. And I don't know, I was in 9th grade. I had no job. What am I going to get her? I had money that I saved from Christmas or my birthday. That was about all the money I had. But I saw something. So the next day I brought my money with me, and the clerk, I don't know what this lady was. She was smoking dope or something, but she told me this would be a great, because I'm looking at it's so pretty. It was these earrings and this necklace, and it was It was green like rocks, or I don't know. But in my ninth grade boy mind, I thought, she'll really love this. Like, this will be really pretty for my mom. So I remember laying down my money and buying this. And I remember being so excited. I mean, I'm 45 and I still remember ninth grade being so excited to give my mom this gift, which I'll be honest, she played it off like a champ, because looking back, there's no way this jewelry was pretty, but she acted like it was the greatest thing ever. And I remember what that did to me, to be able to give something that I thought, man, she'll really appreciate this and like this. So how do we fight coveting? How do we stop that? Faith, contentment, and generosity. I love all of you guys. I pray that you have a wonderful 4th of July. Be safe. And I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. God bless.